Hey, good morning, guys. This is Stephen Howard, my dog Yucca and Rio. I got a special guest, Danny Tao, today. Danny Tao is part of the Spirit family here in Las Vegas. I met him up with a bunch of spiritual advisors up at Veggie Nation in Henderson. And I just wanted to take a moment today to kind of do an interview for Danny and give him an opportunity to be on my channel. Really thank you very much for coming today, brother. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for reaching out.
You kind of know the content of my channel.
Sure.
We talk about, divinity, the spirituality, spiritual awakening. We talk about those that are unawakened and what happens. We talk about a lot of stuff, so you could pretty much start anywhere because my people that follow me tend to be aware of all of it. So whatever you feel like talking about today, Danny.
On the walk here, you mentioned a little bit about, you talk a lot about PTSD, and I've been throughout the journey, throughout the experience, the trials and tribulations, I've been labeled all these different labels: PTSDs, bipolar, schizophrenias. I feel like as a very young child, I was a guinea pig for the pharmaceutical industry. Same with a lot of my peers that are my age. I'm about to be 33, and I feel like a lot of my age group, was kind of under that same type of influence from the pharmaceutical industry. Let's give them Ritalin. Oh God, he's got an active mind, so let's sedate him with some Seroquel or Trazodone. So throughout that trials and tribulations, I grew up almost thinking that I was broken because I was a child with trauma, as we all come from. We're born into a life of trauma. Just as we are born, we face trauma through the whole birthing aspect, but then as we grow up, we're faced with all different types of traumas, some of us more than others. So growing up, I was faced with a lot of traumas and pumped full of all these pills, thinking that there was these things wrong with me. And then along my journey, I started doing a lot of the inner work, but even before that, I fell into a lot of substance abuse. Actually, you brought up 12-12, and my clean date at one time, I was a drug user of many different types, and 12-12-12 was a day that I changed my life, that God changed my life, that this divine intervention came into my life, and it was like that old consciousness was wiped clean, and all of a sudden I had this new profound consciousness. And it was all by the act of praying to myself and finding the God from within, which was a very long journey. And there were certain types of mantras and certain types of things that I went through that I would love to share, these certain types of practices. And throughout my journey, I've created these different mantras that worked for me. And my first one was embrace change for the moment, and in time it will change your future. And it was just those moments of time that I would embrace the change, because how you see this huge elephant, how do you eat it? You almost get overwhelmed by the sheer size and how far you have to go. But when we can break it down to bite-sized pieces, when we can break it down to be able to make it more manageable doses and embrace that change for the moment, and then all of a sudden you get to this plateau and you look back and you see how far you've come. And that's the only time I really look back now, is just to see how far that I have come. I see that I still have not a long ways to go, but more of some fine tuning and a little bit of dialing in my frequency of what I wish to see, which comes from food and health and different things like that. And it's been a journey. But
I totally agree. By the way, it was 11/11. It was divine timing when Danny Tao and I met up out here. I actually pulled a phone out of my pocket and I was like, "Hey, it's 11/11." And I said, if we didn't, he said divine timing. I'm like, "Yeah, I was in a rush." And we both were laughing. And then I said, "Yeah, I think it would have been closer to 12/12 had I dilly-dallied around anymore." This morning was pretty stressful for me. I wasn't feeling my vibration this morning at all. I got woken up a little bit early, and then I realized that the battery on my car was dead once I was fully packed up. So I was a little stressed out this morning getting to you, and for that I apologize, but
No worries,
I'm glad we're here today.
Yeah.
We're in a beautiful area. This is the Red Springs out at Red Rock, Calico Basin. We're underneath some monster cliffs. I believe Desert Illusion is up there. Really hard route. You know, being 48 years old, I believe at any age you can become spiritually aware. You could be a young child and your parents get divorced, or you go through, once again, some trauma. And that's like the first awakening, you know, when you hit the highway and thumbed it to Yosemite or whatever. And then the people that you were entrenched with were actually your guides, or were actually, you know, leading the way and giving you exactly what you needed when you needed it. And it was a miracle, but you weren't witness because you weren't aware, right?
For sure.
So that's kind of what's been happening to me, is every time I take another step forward, I'm hit with another like wall of miracles. And I've been trying to like justify or somehow like even it out in my mind that, oh, this is karma, you've been through this much and all this stuff, so you paid, so this is your time that you're going to benefit from this and that. And it's a bunch of confusion and confusing energy, and then sometimes you fall back on your old programming.
For sure.
You know, like what you're used to or comfortable in, and it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
And you're like, why isn't it working? It used to work. It's because you got to stretch. You got to stretch yourself.
For sure. And you realize a lot of the things that, you know, used to serve you at one time no longer serve you. You know, and that comes sometimes from people, places, things. You know, there's a lot within a lot of it, you know, and we hold on to that comfortability. We hold on to that comfortability of the people that surrounded us. But, you know, Terrence McKenna said it the best is, you know, what's on the other side is feather beds, you know, as a feathers, you know, a feather bed. But we think it's like, you know, this rough
bed of nails.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of times it's just a bed of feathers. But we have to go through that uncomfortability, that awkwardness, that transitional period, and that transitional period gets very quote unquote lonely for people, because you're leaving one group of people that you didn't or people, places, things that you necessarily didn't vibe with, and now you're vibrating at a different frequency and attracting a new tribe. And that transition period gets very lonely and hard for people. And a lot of times when they're in the middle of it, it's like that analogy of people giving up right before they get to the diamonds. You know, they end up going right back to the old ways rather than just, you know, persevering. Perseverance
dig
conquers
a little
all.
deeper,
Just
brother.
just go a little bit deeper. Just go a little bit deeper, you know.
Exactly.
And just stay grateful. That's the one thing with Steven is like I've always felt that is like, no matter any time we've talked and he's like, man, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, like whatever it's been, he's always been grateful for at least that experience, which I commend you on that, you know, because some people, they'll beat themselves up like down so much, but you can always find that gratitude in your heart and keep moving forward. So it's like, I thank you for that.
I just got a channeled message that we should all watch Kill Bill, and that we should all watch maybe some Kung Fu old episodes. David Carradine out with a little pouch and, you know, out on the road with his staff and hitchhiking all over the place and living this life that, you know, all of us looked at as, wow, you know, I would never do that
For sure,
or whatever.
Sure.
But, you know, when you get your Jedi cloak and you got your white belt on and you're headed for your black belt, it's kind of like you have to go on these journeys and experiences, and you will run out of gas. You will run out of money. You will run out of, you will have a dead battery on your car in the middle of nowhere in Mount Charleston.
For sure.
Have to pray in the middle of the highway that in the next 3 cars there will be a pair of jumper cables. And it will happen.
It will happen.
It will happen.
It will happen.
And it'll be the coolest person, and you'll get to share
the best conversation.
Good conversation. It'll all happen for you.
And even yesterday, it's funny you say that, because even yesterday we were taking a walk through the desert, and I was like, oh man, we forgot our cannabis, right? And we're walking, and what do you know? I just happen to look down and I find a grinder with a little bit of cannabis in it.
See, that is an amazing story right there. An amazing story.
The universe provides, but it's time to take that to the next level. Okay, now we need a suitcase with, you know, a bunch of gold. Where's that? No, I was kidding.
Right. We need Brewster's Millions. You know, we need a suitcase that was left out here, or a trunk that's full of old hundreds from the 70s.
Yeah.
Was maybe stolen from somewhere and left out here, and the guy's long gone. And you just happen to come across it, and hey, you sit down on it, and you're like, I wonder what's in here. You open it up, and you're like, wow, there's a couple $1 million in here.
But, you know, it's the whole thing is just to keep moving forward, you know, just keep moving forward, and, you know, stay grateful, stay blessed, and just remain in that center no matter how hard it gets and it feels like you hit those walls. Like, just know that it's like, you know, it's bound to open up to you. Perseverance conquers all, you know.
Yeah, I really like what Louise Hay was saying. I was listening to Louise Hay the other day, also Dr. Wayne Dyer quite a bit. And Louise Hay said something about it's all the tiny miracles, all the little teeny things that happen that lead up to that one moment that you're like, wow, this is a huge miracle that just happened. I was just discovered by Hollywood, or, you know, whatever your dream is, right? I'm a pro surfer now. Red Bull decided to sponsor me, you know, or whatever your dream is, right? That it's all the little teeny miracles that lead up to that one moment, and you don't realize it, but the whole thing was a miracle and a journey.
That's why they say, like, that whole thing of an overnight success, you know, and it's not true. You don't see the blood, sweat, and tears that went into the makeup of what you see now. Like, you know, a lot of people, they see me now and they're like, oh, Danny's full of love, he's full of this. That was not the case at one time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, possibly Danny and Steven were a bunch of egocentric assholes at one point, you know, but we made it this far.
We made it good.
We're good. We're good. And, you know, we didn't lose all of our sack of marbles in the process. So
you know, it
still
wasn't
got a
easy,
few
but it
marbles
was worth
rolling
it.
around.
Yeah, I think we figured something out. I mean, I don't know. You know?
Right. Well, as we are out here this morning, we just wanted to bless you. I wanted to bless you with an interview of Danny Tao, Spirit Family here in Las Vegas. We'd like to say hi to a bunch of people, Virginia. I forget her last name. I can't pronounce Italian last name. Sorry, Virginia. And Samantha Rodman is Jennifer.
Conscious Society.
Good
people right there.
Yeah.
And he'll start doing interviews with them all, because we have this beautiful tribe out here, and that's really the next step, is to really show people what Vegas has to offer. A lot of people think Vegas is like the sin, the perversion, the this and the that, but, you know, we have this beautiful community of light workers, just like this thing of polarity. You know, you have this dark center of the Vegas nerve, but then it's surrounded by so much light and so much brotherhood and sisterhood and community.